Roguelike is a video game genre where you play through a game and you try to beat it. But when you die, you have to start over from the beginning. But to prevent you from dying, you have to pick up items like, for example, increase attack speed, increase movement speed, reduce damage, all that good stuff. And you have your typical roguelike games, The Binding of Isaac, Dead Cells, Risk of Rain. But there's two things that all these games have in common. And they're 2D and they're pixelated. But there's one game out there. It's called Risk of Rain 2, the sequel to Risk of Rain 1. And in this video, I'm just going to be reviewing the game and answering the question, should you buy Risk of Rain 2 in 2022? So obviously you use WASD to move and stuff, and you use mouse 1, mouse 2, shift, Q, and R to use your abilities and stuff. But what makes it so much cooler is the items you can pick up. Because if you don't know, all the items do different things, and if you combine all those items, you can get cool combos and really good gameplay. And that's why that's what makes this game so different than the others. And all the classes in the game have a different, unique abilities, and all of them are just unique in general. And my top 3 favorite classes is definitely the Railgunner, Engineer, and Commando. And the Railgunner is part of the new DLC, which we'll get into later. But the Commando is the main mascot of the whole Risk of Rain franchise. It just has 2 guns that you can just shoot and stuff. He's a pretty simple character, and that's why I like it. And an engineer is more of the support side of classes. He puts down turrets that actually have the items that you have, and it can help you a lot in battle. So the graphics in Risk of Rain 2 look sort of have a low poly look, and maybe a tiny bit like a real life look, but mostly low poly. And you can see gameplay on the screen right now. That's what it looks like. And to be honest, if it looked any better, if this makes sense, I think it would look worse in my opinion, because I think it's good just the way it is. Maybe possibly they could have a little bit better lighting, but it still looks great, and I love it. And they have adjustable controls for your graphics, so if you have not as good as a computer, then you can just wind them down a bit. When you're in the game and you look at the top right, there's a little thing up there. There's it's going to each difficulty, easy, normal, hard, very hard, insane, impossible, all the way up to ha ha ha, which is the last one, which is just the hardest one infinitely. There's 3 different difficulties. There's Drizzle, Rainstorm, and Monsoon. A Drizzle is for beginner players, and you heal faster, and the difficulty goes slower. When Rainstorm is the way the game is meant to be played, the game is just normal. Monsoon is the hardest difficulty, and it's only for hardcore players, and difficulty goes as slides as double as fast. And the higher the difficulty, the more enemies there is, and the more health they have. And you might want to go a little bit quick before the enemies get a bit too difficult to kill. And how to actually get items. When you kill enemies, you'll get money, and you can see it at the top left of your screen. And you can use that money to find chests around the map to open, and it'll give you some items. There's also a thing called the Shrine of Chance. You give it money, and there's a chance it'll give you 2 rewards until it won't let you get any more. So there's 6 types of items. There's white, which is common, green, which is uncommon, red, which is legendary, yellow, which is what drops from a boss, blue, that's looter items, and looter items are they give you a positive trait and then a negative trait. And then purple is the void items, which is part of the new DLC. And what they do is you take a normal item and it's like a corrupted version of that item. And for example, the bustling fungus, when you hold still, there's a little circle that pops up around you. It's like a healing circle. But there's the weeping fungus, which is the corrupted version of it. And what that does is when you sprint, and that heals you. So basically, it's just a normal item, but it just does like a similar thing, but like different. And how you get these void items, you find something called a void cradle, and this is what it looks like. And it takes half your health, and then when it opens, it gives you a void item. And then there's orange, which is equipment. That's just like extra, like an extra item if you like really need it. And if you get enough of the same item, the game can get pretty broken. Like for example, the solder syringe. That just all it does is increases attack speed. If you get more than 10 of them, you attack so fast you're almost unkillable. I mean, you're killable, but you'll attack so fast it's not even funny. Armor piercing rounds, that just does more damage to bosses. And if you have like a lot of them, you'll destroy bosses instantly. And when you pick up an item, it'll give you like a little description of what it does, and that'll help you understand what the item does. So how you beat the game is on each stage there's a teleporter, and you have to activate the teleporter, and then one boss or more than one boss will spawn, and you have to kill that boss and then wait for the teleporter to reach 100%, and when it's done, just teleport through the next stage. There's a total amount of 6 stages on each game, and the last one is the last boss fight, and his name is Mithrix. He's a pretty hard boss fight, I'm gonna be honest. The amount of replayability Risk of Rain 2 has is crazy. Only because of the artifacts. The artifacts are basically just like a modifier set, modifies the game a bit. Like for example, the artifact of command, that lets you just choose your items when there's an item on the ground, you can just choose it and stuff. Then you can just like play as all the classes, unlock everything for them, and maybe just build new item combos. So how multiplayer works in Risk of Rain 2. When one player dies, if the other doesn't die and completes the stage, then all players get to move on and they get revived. And all money is shared, and when a person kills an enemy, the other person gets the same amount of money that the other person does. Also, the more players there is, the more enemies there are, and the more chests there are, and the more expensive things there are to buy. Like chests, for example. There can be up to 4 players in one game, and that's how multiplayer works. So the heads-up display in Risk of Rain 2, also known as the HUD or the HUD. On the top left is all your money and winter coins. On the top, like the very top, is all the items you have, and if you hold tab actually, it'll bring up this little thing, and you can hover over your items and see what they do and stuff. At the top right, there's a difficulty slider, like the timer, like how long you've been on the run, what level your character is, and what stage you're on, and then there's the objective right below it. At the bottom right, there's all your abilities and stuff. There's on the left of your abilities, there's some other controls right there. At the bottom left, there's your health, your level, all the buffs and debuffs you have that are above your health bar. And then on the very left, you can see like your drones, your turrets, your allies, your like other players, and see how much health they have and stuff. So the price of Risk of Rain 2 is $25 US. The price for the Survivors of the Void DLC is $15. And for the Risk of Rain 2 base game, I think it's so worth it, the $25 you're spending. You're getting so much content, and I think it's just so worth it. So in the Survivors of the Void DLC that came out on March 1st, there's 40 plus items, 11 new monsters, 3 bosses, 2 survivors, and 1 new game mode, and so much more. The 2 new survivors, my personal favorite, a Railgunner. He's basically like a ranged sniper class, and he's pretty weak against like small swarms of enemies, but he destroys, and I mean destroys and shreds bosses. Like, I'm basically one shot like a stone titan, for example. And I love this class. His mouse 1 is just like, it auto aims for you, so it can just, you know, just shoot things. Yeah. His right click ability is like, you aim by holding right click, and then on enemies it'll be like little weak points, and if you hit those weak points it'll do ×2 damage, and when you get out of the scope, there's this little bar that'll pop up, and you have to click the solid part, and then it'll recharge. If you don't, then you have to wait. His utility is like a mine that like pushes small enemies away. It's good for mobility, I guess, but it's also useful for like if you're in a swarm of enemies. I'm gonna use that to like get away quickly. Then his special ability is like, it's called a supercharge, and this thing is overpowered against swarms of enemies and bosses. What it does is it charges for I think 2 seconds, and then you aim and you shoot, and it does 4,000% damage. And oh my god, this thing is overpowered. Although, the one downside about it is you can't use any other attacks except for the mines for 5 seconds. That is so long for this game, because you're just going to be constantly get swarmed by enemies. And now the Void Fiend, I haven't really played the Void Fiend as much. He just shoots like a laser. He can like move up and stuff. The most I know is there's a little corrupted meter on your screen, and when that reaches 100%, that basically just does more damage, and he's just like a better version of the original. Honestly, I don't really know. You have to like look up a guide to Void Fiend on YouTube or something. There's a new rarity of items I explained earlier, and you should know what they are. And the new enemies, my least favorite new enemy is these rat-looking things, because they can swarm you and they're fast and they're so annoying. And then the new game mode, Simulacrum, that's basically like an infinite like wave-based game mode, like just waves of enemies come at you and stuff, and every wave you get a new item, and it's pretty cool. I like it. And once you reach wave 50, you'll unlock the Void Fiend. And personally, I think you should like definitely buy this DLC. It's like a must-have, unless you're not a big fan of Risk of Rain 2 and you just don't play it much. So, after all that, should you buy Risk of Rain 2 in 2022? My answer is yes, 100% you should. And this overall just has to be the best roguelike game to ever exist on this planet Earth. And I do recommend playing with with your friends, but it's still super fun and gives a good experience if you're in like just by yourself in single player. So an overall, like, I'm 0 to 10. I'm gonna give it a solid 10 out of 10. This is the best roguelike game, and you can't convince me otherwise. So that's it for the video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I put a lot of effort into this video, so I hope you liked it, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.